Welcome. Okay, so hello. Welcome everyone in the National Archives of Hungary. I'm very proud to open this session, which is co-funded by the European Commission Erasmus Plus program, which made it possible to invite speakers from different countries of Europe. So welcome here Irene from Toledo, from Spain, Thomas from Germany, representing the FamilySearch, Thomas Aigner from Austria, the colleagues from Greece, colleagues from Slovenia, colleagues from Slovakia, and also the audience who is very curious of these presentations and expect these presentations eagerly here in the room and also in online, because this workshop, this occasion, of course, it will be available online also. I don't know how many are there. Hányan vannak? Okay. 12 people following this event online, which is, we are very happy about this. So we have a very active community of the genealogists and family researchers in Hungary. And in the last couple of years, we started to work together with them much closer. And because it's a kind of coexistence. So our targets are the same. So we would like to provide better services, and they would like to have more data for their research. And for this reason, so they provide us a big help. So we have some volunteers program in which they contributed to the finding aids, to the data what is available online. So welcome everyone, the archivist, the genealogist, and the wider audience too. And one thing, because we are in a very turbulent period in the National Archives now, it's part of that is that we published last year, the end of last year, a very ambitious, the result of a very ambitious project, the HTR recognized a database of one of the most important Hungarian country. And recently, and this is just, I have to say, because today is the open day for the Hungarian genealogist and the Magyar Association, that today we published the whole county of Pest with HTR recognized. I'm going to show you very quickly, not to stick into that, just to impress the audience, because the archivists are very proud of that. Okay, so you can see that this is available now, and this was the in a mail recently question by the Magyar that when it will be available again. So because we had to withdraw these records for some legal issues, but now it's available again. So I wish you a good research for this database. Okay, so I think this also demonstrates how important the data and the knowledge is. Okay, thank you, colleagues. It's more visible now. How important this data is for our users community, and how important it is to have more and better knowledge about what we have, what our holdings in the archives. The speakers of today will contribute to this from different perspectives. So how some of the speakers going to speak about the collections in different archives. Some of them about at kind of broader perspective, this kind of big ecosystem globally, that how we, organizations in different countries or global organization, universal organizations can contribute to this archival ecosystem in order to make more family-related data accessible and online for the users. Some of the speakers will speak about that how it can go through the knowledge what the archivists are trained for the next generations. So we investigate, and we also see some volunteers program which is available, and try to develop, try to add more data in a cross-border way. So in the next couple of hours, we will have presentations from this very different and diverse perspective. But the goal and the objective of this presentation is the same: to strengthen this community of the archivists, community of the users who are going into the same direction, to have a big data and a big knowledge about our history and our roots. So I'm very happy that I can welcome you in this Erasmus Plus program organized by the National Archives of Hungary, and I'm very happy that you will contribute to this and strengthen this network too, because this personal in this digital era, I think this personal connections is also super invaluable. So I wish you a couple of good days, a good good takeaways for the end of these days. What you probably when you leave this room, I hope that you learn something. I'm always do it in these programs. So let's start this day, and our first speaker is Irene Villar from Spain, from Toledo, representing the Nobility Archives of Spain. So please, Irene, give your presentation. Okay, so we have also one thing. It's also important because we made this day international, and in order to let the Hungarian audience easier to follow, we made an experiment, and with the very new feature of the Microsoft PowerPoint, we will give Hungarian subtitles for this. So I would like to apologize if it's not 100% correct, because it's a kind of experiment, but I think it will be a kind of a contribution to the good and the understandability and spreading the words about these presentations. So welcome, and Irene, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Irene Villar, and I work at the Archive of the Nobility in Spain. I'm going to talk about sources for genealogical research in the Archive of the Nobility. So let's begin with a bit of context. The Archive of the Nobility is located in Toledo and is under the authority of the Spanish Ministry of Culture. This institution is responsible for preserving, describing, and providing access to Spanish novel documentations, families novel documentation, sorry. And our main objective is to ensure free access to novel documentations that was previously held in private hands, preserved within the family archive, and not always accessible to the researchers. Although we are a historical archive, that doesn't mean that we are a hermetic one. We don't have a scheduled transfer like most archives because all of our accessions are extraordinary. The two main forms of accessions are, on the one hand, acquisitions made by the state, and on the other hand, comodatos, as we say in Spanish, or loan agreements, which are contracts by which the owner retains the legal ownership while they transfer the documents to the archive for their preservation, archival proceeding, and access by user. Other forms of acquisitions are bequest, temporary deposits, and donations. Currently, our archives hold 189 archival fonts from different Spanish noble families, dating from as early as 916 to as recent as 2024. This documentation is valuable because in the Middle Ages and in the early modern period, nobility held a lot of power and occupied the most important positions in the government, the army, and the church. Apart from the records generated in the exercise of this function, we also have the documents of their lordship and the exercise of jurisdiction, their patrimonial and personal records, and the family history, which is the point that we are most interested in today. It's also important to say that our archive holds documentation from all the territories that at some point were part to the Spanish monarchy, and to those documents created by the nobles in the exercise of their diplomatic functions. So our archive has an international dimension. Well, these are some photos of our latest accessions. We can see a coat of arms and a family tree. We are going to speak a lot about this. Usually, these archives don't have an internal organization. So when the archive was beginning to be organized in the 90s, a technical study on the classification of noble archives was carried out, resulting in a functional classification scheme. We have 8 functional areas, and the first one is the one called genealogies, title, and entails. As you can see, genealogy has been present from the outset as an important component of the information we preserve. This area includes documentation both related to the family and the lineage, as well as all the functions and competencies aimed to maintaining and expanding the lineage or the entail. These documents can be divided into 3 main categories, in which in every one of them we can find documents with important genealogical information. The first one is documents concerning to noble status. We have executory judgments of hidalguía. The hidalgos were the lower nobility in the Spanish nobility system. These documents serve as the principal legal proof of noble status and lineage for the local authorities. Once the evidentiary process was complete and the noble status was recognized, the individual and their descendants can hold public office and be exempt from taxation. To obtain such recognitions, the applicants had to prove that they and their ancestors across 3 generations were hidalgos. The image in the screen is an executory judgment of hidalguía given to Pedro González de Córdoba, in which we can see a portrait of the King Philip III of Spain. The last year we had an exhibition dedicated to the kings and queens portrait represented in this type of documents because it's quite common. We also can find grants of hidalguía, grants of noble titles and letters of confirmation. For example, the first one, the Santa Cruz L 146, is the noble title of Marquioness of Pozo Blanco given to Ángela de Roca Togores. We can find letters of succession to noble titles, transfers to noble titles, grants of Grandeza de España, which is the highest rank in the Spanish nobility system. The second document, belonging also to Santa Cruz Fonts, is the grant of Grandeza de España of the first class, which is the highest of the highest, given by the King Charles IV to Don Fermín Carvajal, the Duke of San Carlos. Certificates of ceremonial acts, petitions to the King regarding titles and prerogatives, known as memorials, proofs and investigations of nobility, purity of blood investigation. The last ones are the proofs of purity of blood from Baltasar de Ledesma Carretero and his family. These purity of blood investigation were often accompanied by some family trees, because this demonstrates that this family possessed the so-called purity of blood, meaning that they only have all Christian ancestry, nor Muslim or Jewish ancestors, and or relative punished by the Spanish Inquisition. This requirement was compulsory to hold a noble title, public office, and to enter into military orders. And the last one, we have certificate issues by King of Arms and grants of coats of arms. This example is the certificate of the arms and lineage of John Curtin, an English merchant and resident in Bilbao, issued by William Harvey, who was the King of Arms of Elizabeth Tudor, the Queen of England. The second category is documents related to entails, mayorazgos, and hereditary estates. We have foundation of entails, such this one, which is the privilege of the King Henry IV, by which grants Pedro Girón, Master of the Order of Calatrava, the faculty to entail all his entails and hereditary lands. We also can find acts of taking possessions of titles and entails, license concerning title and entails, including the royal authorization for the binding of property, deeds of obligations, reports and correspondence concerning titles and entails, and lawsuit and agreement regarding titles and entails. In all of these documents, inside it, we can find information regarding to the genealogical, to the family of the people who were given these documents to. And the third one, and maybe the most important for this presentation, is the family history. We can find family histories or chronicles and family trees and genealogies. This includes all types of genealogical representations, collateral, ascendant, descendant, and a list of title holders, as well as genealogies for varying degrees of accuracy or legendary content, whether manuscript or printed. The noble family used the family trees for two main purposes. The first one is related to family history, and the second, and maybe the most common in our archive, is their use as evidence in different type of proceedings. Purity of blood, as I have said before, successions to titles and privilege, possessions of different estates, etc. We can see a becerro. A becerro is a type of a Spanish register book in which the nobles, the monasteries, and other institutions compile its key documents, privilege, genealogical records, and property rights. This one is the becerro of the Marquisate of Torre Pacheco, which is a genealogical and documentary compendium of the arms, entails, mayorazgo, and estates that have developed under the house of Baltasar Fontes Melgarejo. This is a copy of the 18th century of a family tree of the Royal House of Aragon and its connections to the Royal House of Castile and Navarre, from Jaime I the Conqueror and his wife Yolanda de Hungría, or Violante de Hungría. We can find it that she is named from both names, to Henry the Great, who was the fourth king of France and Navarre. We can find particularly interesting family trees, such as this one, belonging to the Osuna Fons and the Mendoza family specifically. Created in 1631, it consists of up to 36 horizontal branches of different family members up to the date. The first name mentioned is Andica, fair lord of Biscay, who, according to the text, was dead in the final battle of the king Don Rodrigo, the Battle of Guadalete, fought in 711. Through this family tree, the Mendoza family sought to trace their origins back to the Visigoths, demonstrating the long-standing service of the family to the crown since the 8th century, as well as providing the evidence of purity of blood, which, as I said before, was compulsory to have a noble status. Here we have another two examples. The first one is a family tree with all the coat of arms of the lineage belonging to the main house, in this case, the house of Osuna. And in the second one, it's interesting because we can see the portraits of the family member, in this case, the Torrelaguna family, represented in this family tree. We also create the family trees of the noble families held in our archive. We work in the platform Pares, Portal de Archivos Españoles, where we uploaded our descriptions and our digital images. When we create an authority record for an individual, in this case, Álvaro de Bazán, grandparent of Álvaro de Bazán, first Marquess of Santa Cruz, and an important soldier in the Battle of Lepanto, we can link it to their ascendants and descendants that have already been established in Paris. And finally, we can find another sources outside this area, such as last wills, marital agreements, dowries, and agreements between family. I have selected this example because it's the last will of Isabel de Velasco, daughter of the Count of Fuensalida, and one of the Meninas represented in the famous painting by Velázquez, Las Meninas. So this is a very quick resume of the sources that we can find in this archive. So thank you very much.
It will work or not? Yes, okay, it's fine. So thank you, Irene, for this very interesting presentation, and which also demonstrated that how strongly interconnected the European history. This Jolanta de Hungria,
yes,
who was a Hungarian princess and Aragon queen afterward. So she was the daughter of Andrew II of the Hungarian kingdom from the Arpad house. So it's super interesting how the history connects the countries. Okay, if while you maybe are thinking about to pose questions, that my question is that how you accumulate your holdings. So is it by donations or how is it? Because it's okay. So the question is open.
Well, our most important type of accession are acquisitions and comodatos. So when the archival funds came to the archive, we have a whole process of classification, ordination, and also installations in the repositories of the archive, which is a very, very long process. I'm talking about months, maybe years of archival work. Was your question? That was your question?
I struggled with the microphone, so I couldn't pay fully the attention. So you have donations, yes, and you buy the records
yes,
too?
Yes, we also fund donations, but it's not that common. We have a few, but the main forms of accessions are acquisitions by the state, and also loan agreements, I think the word is comodatos, which are contracts by which the owner retains the legal ownership, but he transfers the documents to our archive for description, archival proceedings, and access by users.
Yeah, it's super interesting because in Hungary, you know that our holding for this kind of the family records, so it's kind of family collections in our holdings are okay. So most part came into by the different kind of historical traumas when these noble families left the country and left their things behind them, or the state confiscated their records. So it was very different, of course, in Spain.
Yes, it's quite different because we still have some very important nobility houses, and the only way that we have to preserve these documents in a public institution, because they have some families have their own family archive, is to let them given the documents even though they maintain the legal ownership, or sometimes the Ministry of Culture acquire them. But we don't have as many donations as you could think of. So,
of course, the archivists always want to have more than what we can get. Yes, it's obvious. My second question is that it's related more with the archivist job. So, and I know that in Spain, these authority records are very important in the Pares. So, how do you decide that whose name or whose data is should be put into this database? Because of course everybody cannot be there.
Well, we always want to put everything and everyone in Paris, but we are few people, very few people in our archive. So the direction of the archive decide the priority of the archival fund and the authority records that we pay more attention in each time. Also is regarding to the, for example, if we have a recent acquisition, we gave that acquisition more publicity so that the researchers can know that we have this family archive in the archive of the nobility, and they can come to research. So it's a list of priorities, but we want to upload everything in Paris at some point.
But it's impossible.
It's impossible.
So this is how the archives work. We want always more, yes, and want to do always more, but it's impossible, yeah.
Yes, we have, as I said before, 189 family fonts in our archive, so it's quite impossible. We try.
Okay, thank you, Irene, for this very interesting insight to the Toledo Nobility Archive. So thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
And let's make a big jump from Spain to Slovenia. So our next speaker is Sindi Časar. I hope that I pronounce your name more or less well, but you can correct me. Sindi is from the regional archives of Maribor. With Maribor, we have a very strong professional connection. So we are regularly attend the conference of the annual conference of the Slovenian archivist, which in the Maribor archives has always a big role in the organization. So, Sindi, the floor is yours, and we are expect your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so greetings to all. I would first like to thank the organizers for the invitation and the opportunity to present the topic that is historically connected to this country. So the title of my presentation is related to the church and the civil registers created in the region of Prekmurje. The region is was in history named a lot of names. In Hungarian, probably the Tócsság, or the Vendvidék. Now we call it Muravidék. The region was the only part of present-day Slovenia that was the part that belonged the Hungarian half of the Habsburg monarchy until the Treaty of Trianon. Furthermore, I will discuss the significance of the regional archive Maribor, particularly its Prekmurje unit located in Murska Sobota that was opened 2 years ago. So the unit has a new building, but it's still connected to the archive in Maribor. The presentation will also provide the overview of the most significant church and civil registers associated with this region Prekmurje, with particular emphasis on the preservation, archival status, and accessibility in Slovenian archives. So for the introduction, the red part is the region Prekmurje in Slovenia, so that you can imagine, and the other map is the area which the regional archive in Maribor covers, the area. So its unit, it has the center in Maribor, and then a unit for Prekmurje and one for Carinthian part of Slovenia, also the unit. As I mentioned, this is on your left side is the main building of the regional archive in Maribor, and this gray building is the new building of the unit Prekmurje in Murska Sobota. And so for the researchers in the unit of Prekmurje, they also research the genealogy, and so that the interest for family history research increased due to growing number of reading room visitors, email inquiries, and the requests for reproduction of archival material. The users are mostly historians, ethnologists, and also students. And also the descendants of emigrant seekers that want to explore the family roots. So they come mostly from abroad. So the church and civil registers play a very crucial role in researching the population of this region. So they constitute of primary sources for the study of births, marriages, and deaths, make it possible to reconstruct the family relationships across several countries. Distant features of the Prekmurje region is one of the records that were created within the Hungarian administrative system. So researchers encounter entries written in Latin, Hungarian, German, also a little bit of Hebrew, and later on in Slovenian. This is like the historical development of the region. So it was the part of the Hungarian half of the Habsburg monarchy. The region is also very diverse, so ethnically, linguistically, and religiously. All communities coexisted and are still some of them. In addition, there is a Slovenian population, Hungarians, Germans, Croats, and Jews was also present. So the majority, for the religious diversity, the majority of population is Roman Catholic. We have also a Reformation from the 16th century that led the Lutheran or Evangelic community established, and also the Reform or Calvin Church. But the last one is connected mostly with the border line with Hungary. And the place that is connected is Motvariovci, Hungarian is Szent László. It's also, and the settlements along the border. Also there's a Jewish population that was important component of the Prekmurje society because it primarily developed in towns like Lendava, Hungarian Alsó Lendva, Murska Sobota, Hungarian Muraszombat, és town Beltinci, Belatinc, and they made a significant contribution to the development of the region in these parts. And and almost the whole Jewish community was destroyed during the Second World War. This is the ethnicity. Yeah. So the parish registers are the vital. This is like a little bit of development, but we can skip. It's about the important historical source. The important thing, it was that the first thing were the church registers, and then in the Kingdom of Hungary, this turning point in 1894 were on the state civil registrations, which included the civil registers for recording the birth, marriages, and death, and was transferred from religious community to the state. This is like under the Joseph II. Later. Then in this time, when these civil registers were made, the Prekmurje was also the region that was divided and formed like 26 civil registration districts, and so consequently, for the period after 1895, information about the same individuals can be found in both church and civil registers. So the researchers can compare data and verify its accuracy. So firstly, we'll see the Roman Catholic registers in Slovenia that are they are preserved in Archdiocese Archive in Maribor, and the oldest known register is from 1673, from the territory of Prekmurje. It's from the parish of Bogojina, Hungarian Bagonya. And all of those materials are digitalized for the whole region, for the Catholic registers. So the digital copies are available through the MATRICULA portal, which provides the access to numerous registers from across Central Europe. This is the oldest known from the Bulgaria. It's in Latin, and then this is how it looks inside. So the matricula, these are the three church archives that are digitalizing material from Slovenia, so Maribor, Ljubljana, and Koper. So the second one is the Lutheran or the Evangelic. This was established, the first one in 1783. The oldest is in congregation in Puconci, Hungarian Batyant, and then the registered starts. Some of the Evangelic registers we also keep in the archive in Maribor, but the most are kept by the Evangelic Church, and they are still not digitalized. In addition to the Lutherans, there are also these are also the places from which the Evangelic registers starts all across the Prekmurje, not only the northern part. So the Reformed registers are. This community is from the area to present day associated to the congregation in Hungary. It depends in which county it belongs, to the Zala or the Vas or Iron, because for the Zala county, the archives in the Hungary are in Szentgyörgy-Völgy, and for the Iron county is Kerka-Szomor. But the church still remains in Slovenia. Now the civil registers that are kept in the archive of Ljubljana, so the National Archive, they have one collection called the Vital Records from 1812 to 1982. It combines 192 archival boxes and 378 volumes, and covers mostly the entire population regarding the religion. They have also, the collection contains from the civil registers from the period of Illyrian provinces and to the Julia March, but also the civil birth, marriage, and death registers created within the territory of the Kingdom of Hungary in Prekmurje between 1880 and 1990. So this is like the last transfer was from the administrative unit in Murska Sobota in 2020. There were like 70 volumes added to this collection. So the civil records are particularly valuable for the study of Jewish, Lutheran, and other religious communities, as they make it possible to trace population after the introduction of civil registration in 1895. In many cases, civil registers present the only surviving source of information for particular individuals and family. They are very good for researching the Jewish, because we have a lack of Jewish records, because the most were destroyed. Now to the collection in the archive in Maribor. We have collection of register like duplicate registries. The collection is the duplicate registries of Prekmurje and Međimurje. So the whole collection is 362 volumes and 48 archive units. It contains Catholic, Lutheran, Jewish and civil registers. From 19, I think the number is from, and the year is 1812, because these were the new Jewish collection. This is the how it's in our archival system scope that we use. There are all the places of the preserved and numbered. Yes, for the first one is from Belatins. This is the 1820. This is the Jewish, and then the civil. So it's a combination, and every collection has the written also in bilingual, so the places are also in the Hungarian, so not only the Slovenes can find it, and it helps to researchers. This is for the Međimurje, and then these duplicates are that cover entire population of Prekmurje without exception from the start of the civil registers to the end of the First War, and they were microfilmed by the Genealogical Society of Salt Lake City in 1992 and 1993. So they are all available online through FamilySearch. The prescription and the new thing that this is like you can find it in FamilySearch. And in the 2020, there was this transfer of the registry from administrative unit in Murska Sobota to National Archive, and they discovered 11 original registry belonging to the Jewish community, and now this is a part of the Maribor collection. They cover the period from 1820 to 1943. And present the most valuable sources for the study of Jewish history in Slovenia. The problem is that these books are only for two places, for Beltinci and Lendava, Dolnja Lendava, but not for Murska Sobota. So for the Murska Sobota they were probably destroyed. This is how the books look for the Lendava, and these are the how it's in Hungarian, German, and a little bit in Hebrew. By it depends from the rabbi if they wrote the Hebrew names and the years. This is for Beltinci. Also, how it looks. The books are being photographed, but we didn't digitize it yet. So the research challenges frequently face difficult arising from the handwriting to the changing these personal names, historical places that have Slovenian and Hungarian version, also sometimes the German ones. Then they require a systematic approach, so the archivist provides the assistance to the researchers and guides them to digitalized archival sources. This is VAR, or in Slovenian VAC, is Virtual Archival Reading Room. It collects all the archival material for the whole country. So this is like the whole network for the whole archives. So the research methodology is a systematic approach from known to unknown, use multiple sources as also the digitalized books and newspapers that for the Prekmurje are considered the LIB. This is the digital library in Slovenia for the whole country, and regional and study library in Murska Sobota has also digitalized their own newspapers that are also in Hungarian, that are very useful. But they can also the researchers can also research through the probate matters or estate matters that we keep in the archive. So we also they research through the online platform also as MATRICULA, FamilySearch, the virtual archival library, DLIP, Arcanum, and also if they want the Hungarian part, they used also adatbázisok online. And I think this is it. Yeah, so the improvement would be the digitalization of the evangelic books and also the Jewish one, and then the I don't know, maybe allow the AI or improve these search tools. The OCR recognition is also very handy. And for conclusion, these church and civil registers are fundamental source for researchers researching the history of and genealogy of the Prekmurje. They are very rich for studying individuals, families, and community across the several centuries. They are also the part of cultural heritage, but as I already said, the digitalization is still the work that lies ahead. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sindi. Okay, so first I turn to the audience let them pose questions. Okay, there is 1, 2. Okay, let's start with the lady first, okay? I'm old-fashioned.
Thank you. It was a very interesting presentation. Thank you very much. My question is whether you have a collection of links regarding which, I mean, you made clear which archival databases and databases are to be searched, but do you have a platform where all these links are collected together?
No, but for the archive of Maribor, it has links of FamilySearch in this VAC. So the virtual archive, if you want to look, you can read it, and then on the down, it's a link for all the digitalized material. But the whole thing, not. We do it like by the email. If they require something, they ask and we apply.
And you answer. Okay, thank you very much.
This is maybe what the MATRICULA should build, to have direct links to all these records. Yannis is the next.
Thank you very much for the interesting presentation. I would just like to ask something. I might have missed it somewhere. So you have in Maribor already the parish records from all dogmas, right? From all church dogmas. I mean,
no.
The
Church,
churches.
the Roman Catholic.
Only Roman Catholic?
No. We have the duplicates of the civil
The
registries.
duplicants.
Yeah.
So the rest are remaining in churches?
Yeah.
All right.
In Maribor.
That was the question, because I was trying to understand. I mean, the next question would be if the churches are willing to submit their parish records to the archival service of the state. That was the question. I mean, no.
No.
Okay.
But they are digitalized, and we also communicate very good.
Okay.
If they have some kind of question, so yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Maybe more questions? Okay, if not, thank you, Sindi, for this very interesting and very useful presentation to have more knowledge about your collections and how we can Hungarians. Okay, one last question. Do you speak Hungarian?
A little bit, yes.
Yes, because your Hungarian pronunciation with the geographical names was so perfect that I guessed it.
Yeah, if you research the area, you need to know a little bit. So yes.
Super, fantastic. It will be much easier to have information from Slovenia for these records, for the same. And the other things, what I learned, that how closely interconnected everything. So your data is available through the FamilySearch and also through the MATRICULA. And our next speaker is Thomas Aigner, who speaks about this very good initiative of the MATRICULA, what started by the Icarus, and we are very eager to know that what is the current status and what are your plans, particularly because you work very closely with the FamilySearch now. So is there any further plans how to improve this? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a big pleasure for me being here because the Hungarian National Archives is one of the founding members of Icarus. So when we started this adventure in the 2000s, the Hungarian National Archives was one of the first archives joining Icarus. And so it's a big pleasure to be here. Who is behind MATRICULA? It's Icarus. It's a network of about 200 institutions all over the world, mostly in Europe. The particular thing about Icarus is it's not a pure archive network. It's a mixture between archives, universities, and research institutions. So this means Icarus is somehow a bridge between research and archives. But Icarus also consists of a big community of about 800 private persons and companies. Why is Icarus so famous? It's not just because of MATRICULA, it's because of our roots, and our roots are deeply scientific. We simply wanted to digitize and research medieval parchments from Lower Austria. We started that in 2002. And that's how we founded a portal for parchments, and that's the Monasterium portal. Also the parchments of the Hungarian National Archives are, I think, entirely contained there, but not only those, also many other parchments from all over Europe. So we started in Lower Austria with those 20,000 parchments. Now we have almost 900,000 parchments online. And the big thing about Monasterium is it's not just a portal, it's also a research environment on auxiliary sciences. So this means you can do also paleographical diplomatic studies and so on there. And the third thing I think this is highly important also for this conference here, is our Topotik platform, our Topotik system. Those are locally run platforms for villages, municipalities, for communities to collect and to publish their private documents. Those are mostly photos, but those are also private documents of baptism, those are loan agreements, or those are also audiovisual material or whatever. And I always say the Holy Trinity of Icarus, it's Monasterium, it's the Topotek, and it's MATRICULA, about which I will now speak. What are the roots of MATRICULA? The roots of MATRICULA are in small diocese archives in Lower Austria, in west of Vienna. There is the small city of St. Pölten, and St. Pölten is also the capital of a Roman Catholic diocese. And the reading room of its diocese archives was fully crowded always, and the staff in that archive always struggled with the huge amounts of people requesting to register books, doing their research, and asking thousands of questions the staff could not respond to. And so in the St. Pölten archives, we simply thought, okay, we digitize everything, we put it into the internet and solve this challenge. And so the success story of MATRICULA started because coincidentally the director of the St. Pölten Diocese Archives and the Icarus president was one person. And so this one person thought, okay, it doesn't make sense to set up a system just for St. Pölten. Let's set up a system that works also for other archives. And so from time to time, many other archives joined the portal, so that today MATRICULA covers, as we heard, all of Roman Catholic, Slovenia, almost all of Austria, not the former Hungarian part. This is still missing. This is some kind of a Gallian village in Austria for us. And you can see here also we have a lot of German content there. It's mostly it's all of Roman Catholic Church. We have all of Roman Catholic Luxembourg, and we have several documents also from Bosnia-Herzegovina, from Subotica, and also from Poland and Czech Republic a little bit. The strategy of MATRICULA from the beginning was having no strategy. So this means we simply provide the platform for those archives who see a benefit in using it. So we have no proactive acquisition activity or something like that. So this means all those archives, they simply joined on their own. Where are we today? We have about 8,000 parishes online. Those are more than 150,000 books. Those are more than 50 million digital images. So if you count on each image, and mostly on one image are 2 pages, so this is about 70 million pages or something like that that are digitized. And we have more than 3,000 single users per day. So this means per year we have between 1 million and 1.5 million individual users in the portal. So that's really quite a lot. Here you can see once more a list of the countries that are represented currently in MATRICULA. So yeah, I've missed Italy. We have a very small, some parishes from Italy, but in the next time also South Tyrol will be joining, and we will make it to reunite Tyrol at least in a church register way. Here as an example, Austria. You see the structure it's very simple. The whole portal is designed in a way that you do not need an archival scientific knowledge. You do not need archival structures. You just need to know the parish where your ancestors were based and where you have to do your research for. So this means you simply enter the portal, you enter the country, then you enter the diocese or the region of that country. Here I've put as an example my former workplace, the Catholic Diocese of St. Pölten. Here you can see it's the western part of Lower Austria. And then you simply choose the parish you like. And for each parish there is an individual page with the general information on the respective parish, with a link to an image in Wikipedia of the church, with a link to the OpenStreetMap so that you can also see where is this parish located. And below also you can see there is a widget directing to the cadastral map in Arcanum Maps. And I think this is really highly valuable because I think the holy trinity, not of Icarus, but of regional research is church registers, it's land registers, and it's the cadastral maps simply. And with this we can guide directly to the Arcanum Maps. And here below you can see a list of the books, and you simply choose the book and then you leaf through the book as you would have the original in front of yours. And what I really need to stress, of course there is no full text search in the book. So it's just images. It's really old style archival research that you can do there. So we are not so far advanced like the National Archives also to provide HTR text accompanying to the images. Also because of the fact that MATRICULA is deliberately a fully open and free service. So we made the decision this information contained in the church registers, it is not property of anyone. It has to be accessible for anyone without any barriers behind paywalls and also not registration vaults. We don't want that simply. The disadvantage of this is that the income we can generate from that is quite low. And this means that we have to keep also the services in MATRICULA and around MATRICULA on a very basic level. So this means we simply have not the money to invest in great HDR projects or something like that. But of course, time does not stop. Time's continuing. Of course, we are working on concepts, how we can improve that in the future and how we can also provide full text research in the images. But at the moment we are quite happy that we can provide the service as it is. Yeah, and if you have chosen the parish, you simply choose one book. Here I've chosen one really nice book with a medieval fragment on the outside, as a cover outside. And then you simply leaf through the books for your ancestors there. So it's the old way of doing archival research. The great experience for me as an archivist with the MATRICULA portal is that the perception of my job totally changed with that. Because I was raised in the 90s at the Institute for Austrian Historical Research. Maybe some of you know it. It's a very strict and really medieval sciences focused institute, and so the archival education there was in a way that only academics may enter the archives, and if another one comes, so the archives is in danger. And so this quite academic perception of archives was, we were infiltrated at that time. And so genealogy, of course, at that time was something evil. Yeah, that's a hobby of private persons. Yeah, that it's not academic research. Yeah, what purpose should that have? Yeah? But we see it with this conference, but during the times things radically change. And today it's changed in a way that the academic research is really a minority of customers in the archives, and people doing genealogical research are really a huge amount that justifies the existence in many cases of the archives at all. Yeah. And what I also realized is that an archivist must not be just a guardian and a keeper of the documents. An archivist can be a happy maker, because after we published the registers in the internet, we got so overwhelming responses you can't imagine. So for us that was a totally new experience. So the positive was so exciting, yeah. So that we realized, wow, what we do here has a real positive, delightful impact on people's lives. And if I think of those 1.2 million people attending the MATRICULA portal every year, so that really fulfills me with big, big joy, because I know, okay, we've done a good job and we really help people, we really give people, to many people's lives, a little bit of joy. Yeah, and just to show you, I guess you all know the Arcanum Maps portal, but I think it's really important to stress that all the people in the 19th century, at least, in the register books of the former Habsburg monarchy, they also had the properties somewhere in the monarchy, and those properties are on the cadastral maps. And the cadastral maps, there are the cadastral protocols with the names, and if you link the names in the parish and the church register, as we do it here we have Johann Berndonner, and if we link the name in the cadastral protocol, here we have the Berndonner Johann once more, then we immediately know where this Johann Berndonner lived, here in Altenmarkt in Lower Austria. So we can directly locate his or his home and the place where this family lived. So I think it's a really nice detail in family history. If you deal with our registers, of course, FamilySearch is an invaluable resource, but there is also another open resource. You need to register, but it's free of cost. It's the Jane team in Austria. It's a huge database created by volunteers, which contains millions of data sets of indexed resources. So if you look for an ancestor in Austria, the former monarchy, I really recommend have a look into Gain Team, do a random search there after the name, maybe you find something. And the Johann Berndonner in Altenmarkt that I've showed you, he's there because there is the entire cadastral protocols of Lower Austria indexed there, and so you can very easily find him because you have the Berndonner Johann with the number 50 of the parcel, and you can immediately identify his property, and that's amazing. So you see, in my heart is how shall I say it? My heart is beating for local research. Simply, yeah, I'm coming from local research. Yeah, so that's. This is about MATRICULA, yeah. But I thought in a conference like this, it makes sense to talk also a little bit about our other resource that is highly relevant for genealogical research. It's the Topotheek or Topoteka, how we call it in Hungary. We have this system created to help the private individuals to collect their documents, photos, images, audiovisual material, to collect private knowledge and to save it and to preserve it and to publish it. At the moment we have more than 500 Topotheeks online. What does that mean? Topotheek is not one platform and not one portal. It's an individual portal for a certain village, a municipality, or an association, or a family. So this means, 500 topotheques means that 512 villages all around Europe have set up that system to run it within their community. So this means there is a city like Aigner in Hungary. Aigner has set up its own topotheque system with its own branding and collects there the private documents of its inhabitants. Here you see a map where we have topotheques. You see we have them almost everywhere. Even in Iraq we have one. And here you see how it looks like. And it's designed also primarily really not for archivists, not for professional archivists. We want to really involve here the wide public to collect, digitize, and to describe also the documents. So it's kept very simple, very simple. So this starts here with the portal. You have on the left, you have a Google satellite image. You have a georeferencing of the objects, and on the right you have thumbnails of the objects. And if you click on one object, you simply see it. Over there you have the menu, you have a time filter, and you can filter everything very easily. So it's really very easily accessible, and people really use it. Yeah, they use it when they sit around in the pub or in the restaurant and have their beers and they start talking about history, and there is a topotheque. It not rarely happens that one of them says, I've seen your father recently in the topotheque. Yes, really, show me. And so it starts. Here you can see an image, one of those private images with the local fire brigade. Yeah, and the funny thing is also you can identify and tag all the persons there, and so you can make them findable. And as I said, it's really easy, very easy. And this means also the description of the various documents, objects, can be done really easy, in a very easy way there. So this means you simply upload, on the left you can see a thumbnail of the image, you upload the image, and then you simply enter the information on the image in the table on the right. So there are not many fields, so it's a very flat description, because we do not deal here with professional archivists or librarians. We deal with people who are simply enthusiastic about history and preserving it. And so this means we have to give them a very easy to use tool for that purpose. Yeah, and basically the main elements are the text, the date, and the place of a topotheque object. I don't know, how late is it? What's the time?
Still have 5 minutes.
Okay, good. Because after having talked about now our platforms and what we do in Icarus, I would like to show something a little bit more visionary, or something not visionary, something that I think it's really inspiring. In Catalonia, in Spain, there is a wonderful project going on. It's called Xarxes or Xarxes, or would you say it in Spanish? Which aims at creating the social network of the Catalonian past. It's carried out by the Computer Vision Center in Barcelona, and they are doing really amazing things. And some years ago they created the following wonderful film that, in my view, is really highly inspiring for what you can do with all those church and civil registers.
There is a research line on the analysis, recognition, and also interpretation of document images. Concretely, my work is focused on historical manuscripts. This means that the data is handwritten. Digital humanities can be seen as the intersection of the humanities and social sciences together with information technology, computers in our case, and especially here with computer vision. What we have in this case is that we can benefit from both worlds. We have the expertise of the humanists, and we also have the computational power. And thanks to this, we can cope with projects that really need both expertises.
In historical demography, we are lucky because we have a lot of sources where we can find almost all people, that means without any distinction of social class. In spite of using information technologies in historical demography, data gathering is still a time-consuming task and also is really costly in terms of human resources.
The joint venture between historical demography and computer vision allows us to build huge databases that feed our historical social network. The computer, therefore, not only has to learn to read text, but also to understand the contents. For example, this is a surname, a place, an occupation, or a date.
Citizens, the society, the users, can help in both ways. First, with our crowdsourcing platforms to help to introduce some text so that the computer learns. And second, this crowdsourcing plus gamification creates this game sourcing, which helps us to transcribe and validate with video games. We have developed a platform, and everybody, whoever, can connect to this platform, can see all the different genealogical trees, navigate as in a social network, the typical one, and thanks to this, we can also see which is the source. Our historical social network is part of the Catalonia time machine, which is the local time machine that's part of the big European initiative of time machine.
Yeah, I think it's really highly inspiring what they do there. I've added some more slides here, which further deepens what Alicia said. What's going on here? Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't want to deepen that too much, but you can see, you can reconstruct the total life course of one individual out of the data. You can geolocate where an individual lived during its life. Or as you've seen it already in the film, it's really nice to have some kind of Facebook for every historic person there, and with the basic information and also the connections of the respective person with other connection with other persons visualized. So I think it's really a wonderful and inspiring way how you can deal with the information contained in all those register books. But to conclude, I would like to stress the fact that all what we are talking about at the moment is just the beginning. It's still the digital stone age. We need to be aware of the fact that we as human beings, we are not just baptized, married, or we die, or we live in a property. We are connected to anything that surrounds us. And this is now here in the present like this, but this was also like this in the past. And it's all documented in the archives, in buildings, in artifacts, in three-dimensional stuff, in maps, in photos, in films. And if we create out of that the big data of the past, I'm sure that we can build a real time machine. Thank you. Let's have a look at how this could look like.
Thank you, Thomas. Questions from the audience? Okay, Dori.
Thank you. My question is that as far as we know, Arcanum has shortened the approach to the historical maps recently, just a month or 2 months ago. Am I right if I assume that this channels into MATRICULA as well? Because as you said, Arcanum maps were integrated into the MATRICULA interface.
What do you mean?
Now only the paid members can access to these maps.
Yeah, Arcanum is an independent resource, and we have no influence on that. But it's also understandable they run that service now for 10 years totally for free with their money, and they need to refinance it somehow. So on the one hand, from our open access perspective as Icarus, it's not such a good development. On the other hand, I can understand it. And we had discussions that we should remove the links to Arcanum maps because it's a commercial offer now, and MATRICULA is not commercial. But we decided not to do that because it's still helpful.
Thank you very much.
Okay, more questions? It's Ferenc.
One short question. Well, MATRICULA is a fantastic resource for the, let's say, amateur genealogist. I used it several times for Germany, typically Austria. The question is that, what was the reason? Because Burgenland is not there. It was your decision, or?
No, as I said, we have no proactive acquisition policy. So this means archives make the decision on their own. So if they see an additional benefit, they join. And I guess that the Eisenstadt diocese simply hasn't seen a benefit in that so far, and that's why they didn't join.
Thank you.
Which is the pity.
You have to pay. I paid into the Eisenstadt archive, and I can use it, but you know, in my mind, today it belongs to Austria, and one country with a lot of data, almost from the whole area of Austria. It's a little bit strange for me, but okay.
Not just for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we of course we would love to have them in, but yeah, but it's their decision simply.
Okay, one more question.
Hello, my question is, how many people are behind that project, MATRICULA project?
You need to distinguish between the central service of the platform and the content curation. This means the platform is run, we have one technician who takes care of it, that's enough. We have, it's only part-time, and we have another colleague, she is taking care of the data. So if there are requests for corrections or something like that on a general basis, she does that. She's some kind of a living subsidy of my former archives in St. Pölten. But then the curation of the data of the various dioceses is done always by the respective archive. So MATRICULA is a big team effort between the participating archives and Icarus.
Thank you.
So thank you. Of course. Okay, so if there is no more question, thank you, Thomas, for your very interesting and always inspirational presentation. And so I introduce the next speaker of the day, Martin Motovsky, who represents the, okay, I'm always trouble with this very long name of your association, but to be sure, this is the Association of the Slovak Genealogists who made this research on the former Slovaks lived territory. But you will explain it much better than me. Okay, so please do it. Thank you. Martin Motovsky.
Which one is yours? Genealogical. This? Uh-huh. So, Hölgyeim és Uraim, my dear colleagues, it's an honor to be invited to this conference among the geological experts, and it is also an honor for me to represent this group of people. Maybe my lecture will be also a contribution to the Thomas Aigner's idea that not just the academic research is allowed in the genealogy area and world. We are the group of about 30 persons, and mostly Slovaks, but there are also people from Hungary and from the Serbia and a little bit also from Romania between us, among us. What very interesting is that we are completely voluntary group. There is no some institutional funding. We are really voluntary driven association, and another quite interesting information is that what do you think about the average age? What do you think? Hint that I am from the youngest. So the average age is 67 years. The goal, the vision of our association, the name is the association for the genealogical research of the lower land Slovaks. And our goal, our vision is to provide the systematical geological research about the area which we named lower land. This term, the location to this lower land term is somewhere at the south of Hungary, north of Serbia, and the west part of the Romania. And the common for these countries are that that live the Slovaks, which were moved to this area in about the second half of the 18th century. So we provided the systematical research in the civil and also the registers in these municipalities, like for example Békéscsaba, Szarvas, Tótkomlós, and also in Bački Petrovas or Nadlak in Romania. But also we have another locations, for example here nearby in Budapest. We have Kiskeres or Albert Irsha locations, or we have also location in Bulgaria, and we process also the registers in villages in the Slovakia, because what you see is the geographic location, and the time, historical time location interval is some from the beginning of the registers in these municipalities. It means the second half of the 18th century till the around the end of the World War II. And we have also some information collected in the Slovak municipalities in Slovakia, because quite a lot of people was moved at the end of the World War II from this lower end to the Slovakia back. Our association was grounded in 2015, and from this time we were able to cover more than 15 municipalities, and we can to say that we have not just the quite interesting number of the registers, because we have more than 1 million of records, but we can say that these records are at a very high accuracy. We have developed a very interesting methodology how to transfer this information from the scanned images to the real digital records. For example, our experiences shows that many records are written in Latin, in Hungarian, in Slovak, in German languages. Also, surnames are recorded in very different forms, and we made some mistakes during this transcription, and we developed some tools and some steps how to check our quality of transcription, and our goal was not just to collect informations to this registry, but also to prepare this information to be ready for the families, to creating a families trees by the software, not just the one personal human researcher. And that's why we decided to collect all informations from the registers and to develop some tools. For example, one of tools is Soundex that immediately if some person will enter new record, our software will create the soundex of important information like the surnames or first names. And we adapted this soundex algorithm also for the Slovak diacritics. It helps us later to link ancestor and descendants together and to create the family trees. And also we discovered that one of the problem is that the surnames were changed during the history. For example, there are families of 5 children, and we know that these 5 children has the same father, but at the registering the father's name at the 2 situation are some another father has some another surnames, and we decided to create the alias tables, which again helped us to create the family trees. What we do is that we collect everything what we see at the scanned images from, and we enter all this situation, plus we enter some other information made by our software tools, which will help us create the links. For example, this canonical normalized surnames of the parents, but or this soundex, and so we have plenty of information collected together, which helped us to create a very huge group of information. Then the part of our methodology is also the double checking of the correctness of data. It means that if somebody will create, for example, these forms, that person has a possibility to use some tools, software tools, to check if the data entered are correct. But our methodology includes also the something like the 2 levels of checking of the correctness of data, and some another person with another level of authority checked always what the first person entered. And I will maybe return to this picture later, but immediately somebody who entered the data has always just to the one click the possibility to check this the original source of this. And I will return maybe if you will be interested to this picture. And the result of this our work is that very soon after entering our data, we have the linked information about the family. It is the green part on the right of this picture. And it is partly it was made by it was made just by the human, not software, but with the very huge support of the software algorithm. And if you have already this linked connections, so you are ready to click and to make just the family trees by one click. This picture is a picture of the family tree made by the software. The format of this family tree is vectorized, format, and you can took these results of our family tree and made it in some other tools and to prepare to be more aesthetic. So this family tree and this one are the same, just this was made by the software and this was made more aesthetic by the human. When we, as I had said, that our focus is to provide the systematical genealogical research of the municipalities of the Slovak people. And when we decided to, that's why we decided some region and the villages about this in this region or about this region. And if we will ready, if he was ready, we published always the book about these regions. And remember our average age from the beginning? So what we really are looking for is something like the sustainability, because the institution like the National Archive of Hungary will exist longer as our association, probably. and it is very important for us to find some institutional partners where to store our results of works. And also quite interesting is cooperation. For example, we signed some agreements with MATRICULA, and there are registers, for example, in Békéscsaba, and we decided to divide it, this register, to that we do some half of the work, and the people from MATRICULA do the second half of work, and we join our results together after the finishing. Very interesting is this idea of the automated handwriting recognition. It will be, we have a very good software tools, and I can imagine that some service that we will send by some REST API and some communication between two computers, some piece of picture scan, and some of your tools will return some suggestion of the recognition. It would be very interesting. Maybe this was our trip, how the amateurs can do the genealogical research. And despite of our age, I have said that our group is very enthusiastic, and also I stay for my sentence that our data are at a very high level of accuracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin, for your very interesting and very good contribution. I ask the audience for posing their questions now. Okay, if they are not, I have a comment, not a question. So I think you shouldn't be so pessimistic about the age level of the members, because I think that this I don't know, hobby, commitment, something is flourishing. So you will have more people to join in the future, and I think so. You will have followers of this nice thing. The second thing what I also related to this, that so after we learned that about your existence, you started to have connections with the Hungarian Family Research Association, also with us for the National Archives. So, and for this, the one step what we started to do, that because of this interest, we gave a priority to the Békés County registers to process by the Békés County Archives, the membership, in order to be able to give more materials available for your volunteers. So I think this kind of cooperation works very well. And I would like to steal Thomas Aigner words from the last September meeting in Vienna. He used this kind of ecosystem, new ecosystem of the archives, users, and other providers. And I think this exists. And Thomas also talked about that how, when he started his archival career, the archives were very strict academic institutions focusing on the academic research now. And the other way of that, how this ecosystem works, is that the genealogists and this kind of new community of users feed the academic research with data. So I use that how the historical demography, and we could see also the Barcelona University, how they reuse the data, what the genealogists provide them. So actually the different kind of users and contributors work really like an ecosystem. It's very nice to see that. Okay, Thomas Hengst wanted to comment something.
It's also not a question, it's more like a comment. In my presentation, I will speak a little bit about models of collaboration. Since the Vienna conference last year, I mean, we have been not inactive. We have basically developed models. And especially not only between archives and the big platforms, but also with genealogical societies. And I will speak a little bit about that, how we can enable projects. And I would agree with you, we don't worry about the average age. We see a transformation in society at the moment. And this is what we see in our user spectrum. Okay, we have 70, 80 million users, but it's pretty interesting to see that the young generation, the rising generation, discover the interest in their history and in their roots, but they use different technologies.
Okay, so we are very much looking forward to your presentation, Thomas. And just a final thought about this age question or age issue that we had in this European Digital Treasures project a couple of years ago, this pilot, when we first made the HTR for the records. And then we asked for the help of the volunteers. And because it was a kind of sub-project of this European Commission funded project, this pilot was this pilot targeted the elderly generation, silver generation. But to our surprise, the average age for the volunteers was 50 years old. And there was a lot of really young, 50, not 15, okay, we are not so lucky, but 50. So of course they were retired persons, but they were a lot of young persons who were super interested about their family and their roots. So thank you again.
Thank you, and I am looking for next lectures.
Okay. Okay, so thank you for all of the 4 speakers and also for the audience for their important questions. But I think it's time for refresh ourselves a bit. And you are welcome for a sandwich lunch, which is in the opposite room at the opposite, more or less, with this exhibition room, and it's also a place and possibility for a further discussion. And we continue afterward with 2 more presentations or program after this lunch as it was scheduled in the program. So thank you for the first thing. Okay, we are ready to continue. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Maybe it's warming. It's okay. Does it work? Okay. Anyway, either with the microphone or with my natural voice, I officially open the afternoon session of this workshop. Welcoming on the podium Thomas Hengst, representing the FamilySearch organization. We also have some news, some novelties about their activities, and I'm very happy if he can share it with us. Thomas, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Sultan. Now with Hungarian subtitles, I'm excited about that. But I think we're pretty international here. So we can try some other languages as well. Well, when Sultan actually called me to come here and give a presentation, I was thinking, what can we share? Because there are so many things going on all the time, and we could fill hours. But I decided to talk a little bit about how we develop collaboration between different organizations as a model to, in general, improve the role of family history in society. So this is one thing I like to state always. FamilySearch has a mission. And the mission is that we want to provide inspiring journeys that people can find their roots, and they can actually discover, they can gather and connect their families in the past, in the present, and in the future. And this is basically why we do what we do. And that's basically a relatively large, I'm not saying company, it's a movement, I would say. You see a picture here from the 75th anniversary of the German umbrella organization of genealogical societies last year. We hosted them in our headquarters in Frankfurt. And it was amazing that more than 50 genealogical societies came together and they presented their work, and we had discussions how we can do projects together. And I would like to introduce a few things, just a few landmarks, what has been done actually in the last 12 months since this event took place. It's less than 12 months. So this is a slide I showed last year already here to talk a little bit about Hungary. So what we see is that Hungary stands out in Europe when it comes to using family history platforms. So beginning of last year, we had in Hungary more than 300,000 accounts. This is the highest percentage of in Europe compared to the population. So now, and you know, the other dates are also interesting, how many of these accounts are active and they contribute on a regular basis, or they search on a regular basis. 44% is very, very good. And how many of these accounts actually build family trees? And it's also quite interesting that, you know, you can see here 21% have 5 generations or more than 5 generations in a tree, which is considerable. we were present at the Leipzig at the Frankfurt Book Fair last year, I think in September or October, and we had a booth there, and we could see we had 8,600 visitors in 3 days, and this is for you basically. 70% of the visitors were actually rising generation, so Gen Z or millennials. And what we realized is that many of these young people, they were interested to find some roots, you know, they tried our system. And many of these young people didn't even know all the names of their grandparents. Not to speak about great-grandparents. And that was a little bit shocking. And it was very interesting to see the reactions when we indeed could find some of the families and even more generations, you know. So I have pulled out some statistics to see how sustainable is Hungary in terms of, you know, FamilySearch accounts. And you can see it's very sustainable. So Zoltan, that's probably the good news for you, since we came up with this number beginning of last year. We had more than 70,000 new accounts in Hungary. And you see that the red bar is always kind of the year to date. So this is until like end of April, beginning of May this year. And you can see the forecast for this year. We will end up again with about 50,000 new accounts in Hungary. And we have to ask the question, why Hungary? And you see in comparison, Germany, with, I would say, 8 times the population of Hungary, or more than 8 times the population. And it's just 3 times the number of new accounts. And worldwide, you see, we had this year so far 3.1 million new accounts. Last year, 7.6. So Hungary is special. I don't know why. I have some ideas why. One idea is that there is a lot of material that can be found online. There are a lot of searchable records and let's say fractions of family trees that helps people to discover family roots. This is number one. Number two is that I believe in Hungary is a very family-oriented country, and there is a lot of interest in family history, then probably more than in other European countries. So this is one thing, the new accounts, and we said, well, okay, how many of these people are actually active in FamilySearch by either contributing things, working with the system? And you also can see that Hungary is really, really active. And also in comparison to the worldwide numbers, and I just picked Germany as a large neighbor, and you can see the numbers: 50,000 users versus 108,000 users in Germany. That tells something about Hungary, and this is basically, for me, the most important number. This is names added to the tree, and maybe for your a little bit as an explanation, because the main focus of FamilySearch has been shifting over the years. So in the past, we were the microfilm company. So we microfilmed the whole world, not the whole world, but 2.6 million microfilms. So these microfilms were digitized and produced 2.7 billion images, partially with very poor metadata, which is now a little bit of a pain for us to manage these images, and we have a lot of work to do in the future to improve the quality of metadata. And what I'm saying here is we will need the public actually to help us with that, and that's a big challenge actually to shift the focus from this to the next stage. And what we're focusing mostly now is basically to build the trees. At the end, with the vision to have a family tree of mankind, or I would like to, this is a big name, I would like to express it a little bit different, to say, well, to help people who get on a platform without having detailed knowledge about family history or not having capabilities to read all handwritings, to have a chance to explore their family roots. And that's basically the purpose why we build a tree with all the hints that will be produced, you know, on a platform. So you open the platform. So I have my family, we have, I don't know, we have more than 20 generations in our family tree. So when I open FamilySearch, I get a long list of hints of names FamilySearch has found for me. I can actually evaluate, I can check whether they are related to me or not. And that makes it easier to actually expand the tree, number one. And number two is to find relatives. So we could make an exercise, it wouldn't work here yet. But normally, everywhere I come, I have this little, I have my mobile phone not here yet. But in the FamilySearch app, you have a function, find relatives nearby. So if you activate this and you are in a public square, you could potentially, if somebody has opened the app, you could find people who are related to you, and you would get an information how you are related. So I did this exercise at RootsTech. Thomas, we still need to do that. But I'm not sure how many lines you have in your family tree. Anyway, I did it at RootsTech, and RootsTech in Salt Lake City is a big event. So you have a big ballroom, I would say, with a main stage, and there are 7,000 people in there, you know? And I found, I don't know, more than 10 people in this room related to me. One is even my colleague in FamilySearch, and I didn't know. So that's really interesting. And so far, we have this function, relatives at RootsTech. This is a function we activate every year from, like, I think February until end of April. And then FamilySearch would actually, based on the information we have in the trees, would look who has registered for RootsTech and is related to me. And so far, this year I had 100 people. And I found out very interesting things about my family, because it says, well, there are probably 5, 6, I'm from the Erzgebirge in Germany, so the Ore Mountains, that's an area along the Bohemian or Czech-German border. In the medieval ages, before 1200, this was the dark forest. Nobody lived there. And then they found silver and tin and, you know, all these ores, and the area became kind of rich. So I always thought my family, they lived for the last 500, 600 years in this area, and I still live there. And we found in the meantime, I have more than 10 different family lines who immigrated to Australia, to South Africa, to the United States in the 18th century, in the 19th century, and in the 20th century. It's very interesting. So basically, what sense is behind that? It fosters unity, it family feelings. We get in contact with these people. I have colleagues in FamilySearch. I have now 172 names in my database of these potential relatives that are still alive at the moment. I have colleagues that have more than 90,000 people. And this comes from the work we do with the trees, because the intelligence, and with artificial intelligence, this is growing more and more. We can basically identify these relationships between people. And that's one of the reasons why we do family history work, to connect people with each other. And that's why we invite people to say, well, participate and help us doing this job. And this is basically what we see here in Hungary. The users not only look for names, they add names to the tree. And that's considerable, because 2 million names for a country like Hungary in a year is a lot. And you see we have consistency, interestingly, starting after COVID-19. And then the numbers went up. So these statistics, I just wanted to show it. It's a little bit interesting to see what's happened in Hungary. And we see in Germany, Germany is waking up slowly, but it will come. But you see worldwide, you see a jump this year in names added to the tree. I can tell you why. Because we do a lot of work in Africa, and more people in Africa get access to the internet, and they start adding actually their data. And what we do is, when new users actually are introduced to FamilySearch, we help them what we call tree trunk building. You know what this is? A tree trunk is maybe, let's say, 4 generations. So that everybody who is living, you cannot see in FamilySearch. Only I can see my personal data and the ones of my children. We have the GDPR, you know, and you can only see on the public square, you can see people who are dead for a number of years. But the tree trunks actually help that somebody who has a tree trunk gets in the mechanism that FamilySearch can actively help building the tree. The more names we add, the more indexes we add, the more images we add, and we collaborate with the other big platforms, with Ancestry, with MyHeritage and other places, and so we help each other to expand. Or we have done tree building with the National Archive in Denmark. And Sultan, you know, the Link Lives, you know, project, or in Iceland, with fantastic work. And so we have some vision to accomplish this in Hungary. And I think this year we will try to push a little bit more on the gas pedal in the car to make progress. Okay, so this is about the statistics. I need to look at the time and getting passionate again. Okay, I want to skip this because I think you know what we all do, what FamilySearch does, and that we are non-commercial. But I would like to emphasize that we focus more and more on the community building and on partnerships. And partnerships is not only with archives, it's with genealogical societies, with private organizations, with the academia. And this is my job. I help building these relationships in Europe. And it's a fun job because we become more and more a facilitator that helps to direct people to the sources. So this is the idea we have in Hungary, that we do not have to host the images the National Archive of Hungary digitizes, because they can do it without us. But we can actually publish indexes and tree data and link to the images on the website of the National Archive. And that basically helps all. And this is just one example of partnerships. I would like to talk a few minutes about what we do with genealogical societies in Germany. I mentioned this umbrella organization, and sometimes I wish we could export this model of collaboration we have established in Germany to more countries. And Hungary would, for me, something like this. We have seen Slovakia, we have the Czech Republic, we have Italy, you know, all these countries, and they're everywhere are fantastic people who have a lot of expertise and time and passion for the work, and we just want to bring them all together. So we have one example. I'm not sure if you know that FamilySearch has about 6,000 FamilySearch centers worldwide. They are usually in our church buildings, and their activity rate depends a lot on the local members, if they have time or not, you know? And you have very active centers and you have less active centers. So we have a cool constellation in Dortmund, in Germany. There are 2 genealogical societies, the Roland of Dortmund, and then another one in Unna that's close to Dortmund. And these people, they're great friends. They run the FamilySearch Center in Dortmund. Not alone, we have also local members from the FamilySearch people, but they are very active. And once a month, they host what they call a day of family history. And this is basically an invitation you can see here. It's going to happen next week on the 27th. So it's co-hosted. And it will take place in the FamilySearch Center in Dortmund. And then usually 35, 40, 50 people come there. And what they do there? They do research. They compare what they do on the society website, what FamilySearch does, how we can combine it. They do tree trunk building. They help new users actually to learn about the systems and how to explore them. And this happens every single month. And even we have, you see on the right-hand side, you see CompGen. CompGen is the largest German genealogical society. It's a pretty big organization. And they have a blog, they have a website, and they publish these things. And they say, well, who is interested? You can join, sometimes you can join by Zoom, or you go there in person. And that's just one example. It happens in many other places, but Dortmund is kind of a flagship because they do it very well, and it's really fun. Second example, there's a genealogical society in Schleswig-Holstein, and that's in the northern part of Germany, close to Denmark. And they thought, we would like to become a developer. And there's a website on FamilySearch.org. It's called the developer website. And you can actually connect applications you want to, or you develop via an API with FamilySearch. And they thought, what could we do? And they have a genius in their society. It's an older gentleman, he's retired. And he said, I would like to simplify the way I can actually enter data, I can control data, I can improve data, I can actually interact directly with FamilySearch, maybe even with Ancestry and other platforms, or with standalone local genealogical programs. They're not connected to the internet. And they decided to develop a system they call FamGen or famgen.eu. I recommend you to visit the website because they presented to us recently. They had their society, they gave a presentation, invited us, and I was so excited about the API they developed. We don't have the time to show you the YouTube video. It's in English and in German. Take a look at it. And they explain basically in detail how you have a user interface. That's the FamGen interface. You can actually load parts of your tree you have in FamilySearch or somewhere else via a get-com interface in this API interface. And then you can add data, you can correct data, and then you can actually upload it back into FamilySearch. It does all the plausibility tests. It does all the quality tests. Or you can actually use it with your own genealogical software you have, and you can basically, cross-communicate across platforms with this API. And I was so excited. I said, well, somebody who has some skills sat down for 2 years, developed this interface, and now it's ready for the public. It's amazing. Maybe let's see if it works. We can just see a little bit.
Hi, my name is Lutz Rittmeier. I'm from Eckernförde in Germany.
Well, that's the gentleman who actually developed the thing.
Welcome to this recorded FamGen demonstration prepared for the FamilySearch review. This demo shows how the FamGen front-end interacts with the FamilySearch API, including authentication, person creation and update, relationship linking, place handling, tree retrieval, and export capabilities. FamGen is a fetch ancestors, descendants, focus person, 7, the login and status, data, and 8, recorded persons and person links, and number 9, birthplaces, maps, and place IDs.
What you have to do basically to improve data, to add data, and help with the tree building and whatsoever.
Number
let me
11.
stop this. So you're going to have the presentation. Just check out this website. It's really cool. And this is one more example, actually, how you can actually interact with a big platform. How do I get back to the presentation? Here. So I basically summarize this a little bit on what we as FamilySearch are interested in. I recently received an email from an Austrian genealogical society. They said, we would like to propose a project. And I couldn't believe it because that usually doesn't happen. So they said, well, we propose a project. And then there was a project description, and it involves archives and the society and even Icarus. So basically, the next step, we will actually sit together and we will work out the details and see what we can do to help. And the content is great. It will help a big deal for many users. We have indexing projects. We would like to involve qualified groups of people who are willing to work with us on specific projects. And our function is basically to make these projects possible financially, technically, whatsoever. We are conscious that in FamilySearch we have, with some indexes, we have quality issues because that comes from the way indexes were actually produced in the past. Sometimes also by commercial companies who are fast, but sometimes not as good as they should be. So I got from our headquarters said, well, we invite people who are actually already involved in indexing projects or want to do it to close, bonds with us, and we can discuss how we can help each other in the best possible way. And our function at the end is not only funding, but it's also kind of, long-term preservation of the data, and that they're always updated, and so on and so on and so on. And in the future, this will move in the curation of transcripts. The more we transcribe, and it's not only us transcribing, but we have seen Alicia Fornes, we work with transcribers in Budapest, the National Archive. They're great in AI. So there's a big need in the future actually to correct these data and make sure they have a good quality. We are extremely interested in compiled genealogies because they are the foundation for trees. So if you get these, that's why your presentation was so great, because you can actually use these compiled genealogies and put them in the trees and see how you can link them to existing data. And that's a fantastic project. And that comes to the collaboration in the tree building, to say, well, tree building cannot only be done by one organization. In Germany, I go with Ancestry in archives together. And we join forces and saying, well, they can do what we cannot do, and vice versa. And it's necessary because it's so much work to do. And that ends up with education, what we do in the family history projects and project funding and so on and so on. And brings me to my last slide. I would like to extend an invitation. I'm not sure how familiar you are with rootstack.org. Rootstack is this big conference, but Rootstack is not just a conference in Salt Lake City, it's an online event the whole year. And we are constantly looking for great speakers, great presentations, and there's a call out for presentations for next year. And if you have a good topic you would like to introduce, even in your native language, we are looking for different languages. It doesn't have to be in English. It can be in Hungarian. Next year we have a Hungarian focus. So if you provide Hungarian content or Slovakian or whatsoever, and you have a great idea, go on the website and describe your project. And you can pre-produce videos that will be uploaded, and then they will be visible to the whole world always. It's not just for a week or two. It's a constant activity. And there will also be speakers we invite to come to Salt Lake and participate. Finally, and that's Zoltan for you, we have this plan to establish family history corners in Hungary. We are getting close to it. We had to jump over some legal hurdles. Now the ball is with the National Archive. You need to read through this whole thing. When we have clarified all the legal issues, then we will actually have in some public archives in Hungary these, I would say, family search centers, family history corners, where users can not only use FamilySearch.org, but also the MNL software, hopefully the Matcha software, and others, and do a combined research in a public archive. That's pretty unique in Europe. I don't know any other country where we have these features. And so we're still committed to do that. And as soon as we have signed everything, we will bring the hardware, and then we can start doing it. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. I could speak for another 2 hours, whatever we do, but you would get bored. This is just a little bit of a snapshot on what is possible in the collaboration. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. That was very interesting. I have 2 questions for you, Thomas. Okay. The first one, which cities will be involved in these family history centers? I have heard Miskolc maybe is one of them. Could you please?
Yes, Miskolc, Nyíregyháza, Eger, Székesfehérvár, Szexárd, and Pécs.
Wow, that's quite a wide range. Thank you.
Yes.
The another
but
question.
This was the recommendation of the archive. Was not ours.
A very good one. Congratulations. And the next question is, you said that you were able to model at the RootsTech conference, how many relatives do you have? How does that work? I mean, I have registered myself to RootsTech as a just an audience, you know, a few times, and I have never seen such feature. Where can
it's basically if you use the app.
Okay.
Well, it's also on the website, but if you use the app and you go to the tree, and when this feature is available, you have a button. It's called Relative at RootsTech.
Okay.
And then you can push it, and then if the system finds something for you, you're lucky. If not.
And sorry, and the system will search amongst the other persons who registered.
Yes.
As an audience or as a representative or something.
So we had this year about 650,000 people participated, and this is the audience basically.
Cool.
And FamilySearch looks at the connections.
Okay, thank you very much.
And it goes back, I think, 9 generations maximum.
Who want to be the next?
The next speaker.
Okay, Thomas, I think we will have the opportunity to contact you one by one in the so after the meeting, or you will be here for tomorrow. And the last slide was about the education. And I would like to ask Yannis whether he knows about that there is such a big demand from the users to know more about the family history, and how is it integrated into the archivist education. So this is maybe that your presentation will be about. So Yannis, please, the floor is yours.
Genealogical research in Greece. We're a country with quite a low number of data about genealogy and family history. We're not very well trained in doing family history yet. I mean, not as historians, but mainly as citizens. The main issue is that the main structure of my presentation today will be the first part to explain to you what is the situation in Greece about genealogy records and data. And the second one, I will try to explain why family history is important, and 2 cases from citizens that highlighted the importance of searching for the family roots in archives, and how the problem of lack of data was solved. Now, the first thing is that unfortunately, we have a very small number of birth, death, and marriage data registrations in Greek National Archives. The main issue is that there is a kind of administrative controversy between the national archivists and the servants, the public servants working in the city's services. They usually think that it's a kind of related with the local power of the mayor in each city, so they keep even records of the 19th century and they do not submit them to the National Archival Service. So in most cases, all these records are still there. As you mentioned before, we have also the same example that until 1890s, all the birth, deaths and marriages were kept as data from the church parishes. Either they were of the Orthodox or Catholic Church or of the synagogues of the Jewish communities. In cases that the Catholics have left Greece, I mean some communities that abandoned Greek regions, these records from the Catholic churches have been taken in the state archives. But mainly the Orthodox churches, the parishes are keeping the records in the churches, again, because they think it's a kind of service from the church to the citizens, so they do not end also from the Orthodox churches to the state archives. The last case, it's about which has a large number of applications for research, is about the presence of Jews in Greece. All the records from the Jewish synagogues from the Greek cities, that were really too many, all of them were transferred in 1944 by Nazis, were taken in Berlin at the end of the war, and after the invasion, I mean, the liberation of Germany from the Soviets, all these records were taken from Berlin to Moscow, and they were we didn't have any information that they were there. We were informed like in 2016, I believe, when for the first time Greece announced that it is, as a country, will build a large Holocaust museum. So then the Russians appeared and said that we will give you back all these records from the Jewish communities. So this is mainly the situation about data about births, deaths, and marriages. There is a kind of data that is available, and it's already in the state archives, about family history in Greece. It comes from the Ionian Islands, those in the Adriatic Sea, which are in the borders between Greece and Italy. There we had a very strong archival culture already from the 15th and 16th century due to the presence of the Venetians, Italians. So all these records from these communities, which were both Orthodox and Catholics, were kept in a golden book named Libre d'Oro, where they had the story of each family of the island. It lasts from the 15th to 19th century, and they have been preserved, all of them, in the state archives of the islands. So one there, it's like this. This is one of the lists from the island of Ithaca. One can see here the names. Of course, they are mainly, as we say, names of the prominent families of the island. And they're quite important because one can see also the number of children in the family. They can see also the transfer of land from father to children. Also, sorry for, here is a mistake, it's Bulgari family. It's the coat of arms. They have also coat of arms because all these families were lords in the islands. This is also the same family that is very known today as a brand for cosmetics. And also, now what we have as an archival service, we don't have a genealogical research department. I mean, they have not created one yet. Lately, the last 15 years, we have claims from citizens who want to learn their family history. They turn to the National Archives and ask for data. One thing they started to do as an archival service in the last in the last 5 years, is that they developed educational programs for school pupils about family histories from minor Asia refugees. In 1919 to 1922, we have the Greek-Turkish War for Asia Minor. The result is 1,500,000 refugees that come to Greece, and all of these people, I mean, they do not really know in many cases from which part of Turkey came to Greece. So they do an educational program with some raw data. They show them the lists with the origin of each refugee. And this is, if you would like, a way to educate and train children to understand what it means to be a refugee and where does a refugee come from and in what social situation he arrives in a new country. Now, the first case about people discovering family history in Greece, it's quite a recent one. It's in 2023. We have a film. I will speak up about the film later. The first thing here is that like in every European country, in the first 50 years of the 20th century, we have a high percentage of tuberculosis, which is a social disease, as it was named in Greece. We have sanatoria where people are being trained in very hard situations because the country is facing a lot of economic problems due to continuous wars. So there are many people, like we have numbers like thousands of them dying every year in sanatoria. They were dying there, not treated well. The result is that nowadays many of the descendants of these people are looking up information about their ancestors. They cannot find, as I said before, data in the National Archives. So hospital records are helping in order to find at least some data about these relatives. So I will just jump the previous. The hospital records about about patients. I mean the patient's matricula. They are very useful. They have usually the address of where he was living, the profession of the patient, the age, of course, and the reason of death. They could be digitized with OCR, and it will help because in many cases from one family, because tuberculosis is a contagious disease, many relatives, many brothers or siblings or sisters from the same family had died from the same disease. So there is a reason to look up in different books and different sanatoria, but at least until now, they have not digitized these records. So citizens nowadays, they are asking for information. This is one, I mean, some of them were treated inside the hospital sanatoria, but some of them, like too many, like hundreds, they had to build huts outside the sanatoria in order to treat there, and usually they died there. I mean, they never recovered. Here are also tents where you can see they were given by the Greek army in the 1920s, in the interwar period. So people are having a very high interest to see where their relatives had died and in which situation at these years. These are, of course, the sanatoria that were built in the interwar period that brought, if you would like, a better condition of treatment. And this is how they're abandoned today. Now, in order to answer to citizens' claims about family history, National Archives are giving access to hospital records, prison records, and university records. Let me explain why prison records. Due to the Greek Civil War, which lasted between 1946 and 1949, we have a large number of citizens for at least 3 decades that are being imprisoned for being leftists. They are being taken to exile in the islands. So many people nowadays also want to find information for these fathers or mothers that were taken away. The same goes for university records, because they can find there if their father was poor or if he had to work in order to get a degree. Here is a film that it was mainly aired in 2023 by a director, Mariana Economou. See an issue. We have the discovery of an archive. It's not exactly as we say an archive. It's personal archives of patients from tuberculosis in a sanatorium. They tried to take down a wall, and inside the wall they found buried 180 suitcases of patients, each of them hiding the personal documents, photographs, and objects of patients. All of them were preserved by conservators. And then Mariana Economou, the director, had an idea. She decided for the first time to contact all the descendants of these patients to ask them if they want to see what their fathers, grandfathers, or grandmothers were writing in letters when they were treated inside the hospital. Well, I was present in some of these screenings in cinemas where the relatives were present. They were quite in shock. Most of them did not want to, well, they denied reality. They could not listen to how hard and lonely was feeling one inside the hospital. Here are some of the letters and the photographs. Here is the archivist organizing in personal files for each patient. Now, the main issue here is the impact of family history. Each personal history of a patient had a different impact in the descendants nowadays. For example, there was a woman who was 23 years old. Her health had been improved inside the sanatorium, but she was denied from the family to get back to the village, because if in the village they learned she had tuberculosis, they wouldn't marry the rest of her brothers or sisters, the villagers. So she stayed until her death in the sanatorium. In another case, she found many letters from a child who was 10 years old, and he, as a young boy, he was writing to his mother expressing how he missed her, how lonely she felt. When the relatives nowadays, who were 80 years old, when they shared in the film what he was writing in the letters, they said that they wanted to stop the screening because it was like they were listening to the cries from the letters. So family history had a very, well, not exactly negative impact, but an awkward impact on their psychology as 80 years old adults today. And of course, as Maurice Halbach said, mainly about social memory, these descendants today, they build consciousness and ideas on the experience that they have not lived themselves, but they are the common past of their social group where they're coming from. Here you see the letters and the photographs. Some of them are depicting families or the patient himself. And these are some of the projects about archival outreach done mainly by State Archive Service. This is in Abandoned Sanatorium. They called citizens in the city of Volos in central Greece to visit the sanatorium, to live the experience of being a patient inside. So they had musicians playing requiems. They had actors playing theatrical plays about being in a hospital. And of course, with furniture, they were trying to see how it would be to live in a sanatorium in the post-war period. So the project, the main thing is here that many of the citizens recalled that they were either themselves treated in the sanatorium or that they had a father, and they looked up for letters, photographs, which were brought in the National Archives and created a kind of small history about their family past. And the last, it's the second case is about Greek adoptees. It's a case that brought again in the surface the need for a family history. It's mainly a large case of Greek Civil War kids. I mean, they were orphans of the Civil War. Some of them, it's known that they were taken in Eastern Europe, but many of them were wandering inside Greece. There we have Queen Frederica, who decided to develop a program. She started sending small numbers of these children to the US and the Netherlands. In 20 years, she sent mainly, as we estimate today, 7,000 or 8,000 orphans without the consent of their parents. I mean, they were not properly informed. They were sent in these countries. Many of them changed their names from the families, so they had American or Dutch surnames. As a result, this is photographs from the period of the Civil War, where many of these people were killed and their children were found wandering inside the country, in the mainland. Many of them came back in the 2020s after the publication of a book from a Dutch author, Dutch historian Gonda van Steen, who wrote about this illegal adoption program, and they started asking the National Archives about access to their files. The problem is that the files have not been taken yet by the state services. They're still there. Only in the city of Thessaloniki, the files have been transferred to the National Archives so they can see their personal history. And as a result, we have here, for the first time in Greece, we have a Greek, well, let's say a startup company named Greek Ancestry. It's being built by a young historian who wanted to mainly to do this research. He collected raw data mainly from election catalogs where one can see the family history, and he is giving information to all these adoptees who want to get access to their family history, from which village they have a document of their adoption in the house in America or in the Netherlands. They send it to the Greek Ancestry, and he starts looking up for relatives nowadays through the election catalogs. So she goes back and she can find siblings for them. What is very important in this case is that he does also the contact with the relatives, so he documents that they are the right persons to meet, and he accompanies these adoptees to their village. In the beginning, Greek Ancestry started only for adoptees. Here you see the old photograph in the beginning of the 20th century and the photograph for the descendant who has applied to, for family history record from the company. He also hires a lot of archivists who are working with him. He has created an online database where one can give his name and surname and get a first answer if there are some information about his region of origin. And then he starts doing, if you would like, a deeper digging in the data in order to bring him in contact with relatives. And in order to help, yes, I'm close to the end. In order to help family research in Greece, I started with undergraduate students last month a project with the City of Athens Archival Service. We call it Memory Vaults, and we are asking single families nowadays. We are asking them to bring photographs, diaries, letters from their houses and give them either as a raw material or in order only to be digitized, to give it in the City Archive Service in order to create one vault for each family for the future and help families to have a deposit with records from their lives from previous decades. The main issue here is that family archives in Greece exist only from what we call distinguished citizens like authors, artists, or businessmen, or politicians, but not from simple people. This is the poster from the activity, I mean the program we started with the city archives. And just at the end, some things that even if we don't have raw data in some cases, social history can help citizens nowadays to get a view of how life was in previous eras in societies. It's very important to get access to labor routine, to illness or everyday life. Citizens are nowadays starting to asking more and more for access to information about their family. It's something new, as I said in the beginning, in Greece. But it's still a need that it seems to augment in the next year. I mean, to come in, to have probably, I mean, the National Archives, I believe in the future years, they have to create a genealogical research department. That was all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yannis. It was super interesting. The suitcases and also your initiative to involve your students into generating their own collections. So, but I turn to the audience now for provoking questions. Yes, Thomas, please.
I saw, and I think it was the second last slide, that you will provide or create family archives. So how is this done practically?
How is it done? Huh?
Yeah, is it already, have you started with it already?
Yeah.
And families, they give their paper records, you digitize them, and
well, in some cases, they just submit them. I mean, they don't want them to take them back.
Okay.
I mean, this is the main idea, and this is what the city archives are encouraging citizens to do. In some cases, if they want to keep them at home, they just give them only to be digitized and taken inside the hard disks of the city archives, and then they give them the hard copy back to take it at home. But I see that most of them are picking things that they don't want to have at home and bring them as raw material. Welcome.
Okay, I don't know whether you know it, but you mentioned these adoptees. After the civil war, 3,000 of Greek children moved to Hungary too, and we also have a village named after Belloyanis, Nikos Belloyanis, which is a Hungarian village here. And okay, I don't know whether it's a coincidence or not, but the Genealogical Society president is also, I don't know whether it's related, her story is related to Greek, but she also has a Greek origin. Okay. So unfortunately she cannot be here, as I heard from the colleagues, but
okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's nice.
So everything and every family is interconnected.
Yeah.
So, more questions from the audience? So, if not, then thank you, Yannis, for this super interesting presentation and the stories what you brought here into Budapest and into our community. And okay, with you, with the guests, we continue tomorrow days. Right. Okay, so thank you. And as we concluded for today, I have to say thanks for your active participation in the first day of the Erasmus program, which was open for the public and for the journalists too. Thank you also for the online audience for participating, because they are still guests through the internet too, and I'm very proud of that. They were really interested in and followed even until the end of the program, until the end of today's program. So I wish you the best for the afternoon. Either you want to continue this conversation privately, or you want to discover the beauties of Budapest. So I wish you the best for the afternoon, and thank you again for coming.